the sparrow story. If you're not using the sparrow story, it's a killer. It disarms people. It is one of the best tools that I have. I go over that with everybody. I read it to them. When I get done with my assessment, before I schedule, I reach over and I grab a copy of the sparrow story and I put it in the file. Because then it'll be there when I prepare for the feedback session, because I know I'm going to read it to them. Okay? And every once in a while I'll get somebody that sort of doesn't really connect with the story because it's sort of goofy, sort of, silly. But I can't tell you how many people I could see. What you're looking for is you want people to have lights go on in their face, in their eyes. I was working with a woman this morning who is real plus-minusing, and the husband's a sex addict, so he's the problem. She sent him to therapy for a year before she ever came. She only came because I advocated that she come. She comes in and I say, your family's just as dysfunctional as his, and you're just as dysfunctional, and she fought me on that. But today, I was talking about how her mother shamed her, and her eyes changed. She wasn't defensive. I could see the little girl in her eyes. That's what you're looking for. That's what, when I talk about reaching in and grabbing their heart, that's what I'm talking about, is that. And you'll know it when you see it, Have you guys all heard this before? Okay.
I've heard it before.
Once upon a time, there was a non-conforming sparrow who decided not to fly south for the winter. However, soon the weather turned so cold that he reluctantly started to fly south. In a short time, ice began to form on his wings, and he fell to the earth in a barnyard, almost frozen. Then a cow passed by and crapped all over the little bird. You get a little comic relief. Sometimes people will sort of chuckle.
Humor of the
That,
whole thing.
yeah. The sparrow thought his life was over, but in fact, the manure warmed him and defrosted his wings. Warm and happy and able to breathe, he started to sing. Just then, a cat came by, heard the chirping, cleared away the manure, found the little bird, and probably ate him. And that sometimes you get people that get it right then. And I say two morals to the story. Number one, everyone who shits on you is not necessarily your enemy. When it on one of these where it says, number 14, where it says, discuss the key to marriage counseling. To me, the key to marriage counseling is just one thing. You guys, most of you know what I'm going to say. Is there's always, of the two, there's always at least one of them who has a victim mentality. Always. You'll never have a couple come in and one of them isn't coming from a victim. Sometimes it's two. It's usually just one. You really got your hands full if it's two. But the key to marriage counseling is to enlighten the person who feels victimized that they never have been. And you can't do it any cuter or more effectively than this. This is a brilliant way to be able to communicate that. And then you talk about Mary, Joe caused you a lot of pain, but what I'm saying is that's by design, that he actually helped you. And I talk about, how many couples I've worked with where somebody's had an affair, and two years later, the person who was cheated on says, that was about the best thing that ever happened to our marriage. Because of all the growth and all the healing and all the insight. And then the other part too, moral of the story number 2 is everyone who gets you out of the shit is not necessarily your friend. And that's a divorce attorney can extricate you from this particular situation. But if you don't fix you, that divorce attorney has done you a disservice. It's like you're reframing all problems as an opportunity to get in recovery. And this does it so beautifully. would say it's like if we could sort of chart when did I get them? Okay, when did I engage them? With some people who've read writing, they're engaged before they got here. This woman today came in and poured out her heart because she totally trusted. It's like we were old friends, you know. It's like we'd worked together for years, like she knew me or something. But there's other people that, you know, you do a little introduction, they're just sort of listening. You do the enmeshment, emotional cutoff, counterdependency, or interdependency. They're warming up a little bit, and then about a third of them, you talk about codependency, counterdependency. You got them. They're already signed on board because they fit the counterdependency, codependency so closely. They're like, wow, you know. So, but then you haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet. You haven't even broke out the good stuff.